بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي الأمين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه الخيرين الغر الميامين ومن تبعه إلى يوم الدين. Well, in the meantime, while you're trying to fix it, we'll take inshallah break at 6:15, and then we can continue until 7 o'clock inshallah at maximum. Today we're going to talk about the Miraculous Quran, and if we wish to analyze the title of this subject, then we would see that we have two issues at least. The issue of miraculous, what's a miracle? And how can the Quran be miraculous? The second is Quran itself. What is Quran? And how was it transmitted to us? How can we confirm or validate this miraculousity? But there is actually a third topic that's at least as important as the question of miraculousity of the Quran. This topic is the necessity of Quran. Even if you prove to me that the Quran is miraculous, it's inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's preserved, but do I need it? And that's applied in general on all scriptures, Torah, Injil, Zabur, and so on. So first of all, the necessity of the message. Do we people need a message, a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator? When we talked about the relation between reason, aql, and wahy, the revelation, we touched this topic, the necessity of message. We have, concluded that since the thinking process is limited due to the limitedness of our five senses, then even the outcome, our thoughts are even limited. Our observation, our sensing, and so on. And if we wish to live in a society, if all human beings would like to live in a human society, and it's not a matter of wish, but it's a matter of necessity even at that point. Because no human being can live alone, can live by himself or by herself. The human beings are social beings, and therefore they are, apt to live collectively. And when you live collectively, when you live in among other people, among your family, your friends, your neighborhood, in the city, in the town, in the county, and so on, you have to have some relations, organizing and regulating your internal affairs. If I wish to gain money, how do I do this? How do I do this act of gaining money? Are all forms of gaining money allowed? If I wish to marry, if I wish to travel, if I wish to fight even, what's allowed and what's not allowed? In all societies, in all human societies, regardless, Muslim societies or non-Muslim societies, there are laws. Because laws are a necessity. Whenever there are two persons, and it's enough with two persons, then you have to have laws regulating the internal affairs. So if our thinking is limited, if we can't judge, if let's say interest, bank interest, if we can't judge if it's good or not at the, for a long time, how, and now we're just talking about one issue, bank interest. And today, this global financial crisis, one of the main reasons to it, one of the main reasons behind the collapse globally is the so-called subprime loans. And subprime loans, they are dependent on the idea of high interest or interest in general. It doesn't have to be high, but it's the idea, the concept of interest. Now, if we can't know in forehand what the consequences of interests are, and now we're talking about just one thing. So what about the billion other things that we have to deal with? Homosexuality, murders. How shall we deal with murderers? Shall we execute them? Shall we give them time life sentence and so on? So there are so many things that we have to deal with in our lives, and leaving all these topics open for discussion, for human thinking, for limited human thinking, that means that we are surely going to go astray. That means that we are surely going to have conflicts. You wish something, he wishes another thing, and I wish a third thing. And since we are equal, you're not better than me, I'm not better than you. So whose word, whose idea, whose thought shall prevail? Shall have the upper hand, so to speak. This would lead, unfortunately, more or less, very surely, to conflicts, to crisis, to problems among people. But if you have an inspiration from the Creator Himself, from the all-knowing Creator, from the wise Creator, from the Creator who benefits nothing from this, when lawmakers, when they legislate about laws, sometimes you see very surely and very obviously that there are some benefits for them out of it. Either it's lobby, or it's personal interest, or it's another type of interest. But in this case, inspiration from the Creator Himself. In this case, you avoid the limitedness of your mind, the limitedness of the human thoughts, human solutions to problems within these societies. You avoid the short-sightedness. Yes, we allow interest, 5% interest. After some years, you have a collapse. You have a huge, enormous global crisis that strikes, unfortunately, the poorest, the most needy persons in the world. Unfortunately, this is the reality. Even of the Western societies, who are most struck? It's not the rich people. Yes, some of them have lost hundreds of millions, that's correct. But they still have houses, cars, and food. They have what they need. And what you avoid further problems and further complications of this short-sightedness. And what you gain is happiness, both in this life and in the hereafter. Both in this life and in the hereafter. You gain Ridwanullah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with you. You gain a very enjoyable life in this dunya, in this life. Because when we speak about following the divine inspiration, we're not talking about, going to monasteries and live there and don't enjoy anything in this life. No, we're not about talking about this thing. We can enjoy our life. When, at the time of Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Moses, there was a man, Qarun, who was a Jew, Israelite himself, but unfortunately, he